pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Ooh, I've been on the flex since flex zone. Neighborhood all in your eardrums. I ain't never scared like Bone Crush. Boy, I got God, don't fear none. My line busy, take no calls. Feels like I don't have no flaws. Snakes in the grass, cut those off. Yo, squad shady, my bros raw. No breaks, we go, 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 go. Throw shade, that's a no, 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 no. Go high, go low, low, low. Like spinning in a 644. Cash money like 504. Ball like AD24. No sleep, need more, more, more. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Ooh, I'm a real one, my day ones. Try to speak up, can't say none. Try to dig dirt, there ain't none. I make the money that save up. 10 to 80, my save ones. Take to the top on the base one. New car, fast lane. With the booyah, that's a flex. Not human, I ain't from another planet. I'ma teleport my advantage. I'ma wake up, do damage. Join number 7.
What is going on, everybody? We had some great affairs when it came to college basketball, some news when it came to college football, a lot going on with college hockey as well. How are you doing, Tony Cosolo, in Boulder? How things are going?
I'm back. I'm feeling good. Missed you guys last week.
Did you pass it on to your daughter?
I didn't. No, I wasn't sick last week.
Oh, yes.
The kids are not feeling good. I just had to put out a bunch of fires at work, which absolutely sucks because I have to be away from you, gentlemen.
How you doing, AJ Bottom, Air Force gentleman? How you doing, AJ?
Doing well. Finally got some Air Force slag last week. We went to the game, had a lot of fun. We've covered a lot of basketball over the past week or two, and we'll be doing.
Who's been covering it with you?
The wife. We're bringing her on here in a little bit. We're going to talk about the photography side of things. We've shared a couple of pictures with you guys and put them on our social media. It turned out great. We're doing a game this weekend, the girls' game against New Mexico, Saturday at 2:00, I believe. So we'll be there covering that, and we're getting deep into it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Got a lot of cool things planned here in the next couple of weeks leading into the summer, and a lot of good content coming up.
So let's just lead into some of the things that have gone on in the last few days in college football and in just football in general. Yeah. Jim Harbaugh is gone from Michigan into the Los Angeles Chargers. What are your first initial thoughts, guys? Let's lead in with AJ, because you had some guys that that dealt with Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, it's not entirely shocking. It was going to happen at some point. It was either those rumors always came up, and I think he's one of those guys kind of like Franklin up at Penn State. He always used that, hey, I might go to another school for leverage for a new contract. And so Harbaugh's kind of, he's been around that, done that before. But it was bound to happen at some point. He's an NFL coach. I think he wants to get back to those ranks, he compete against his brother again. But it wasn't a total shock. LA was a little surprising, with him being an East Coast guy. I thought he'd stay maybe this part of the country, but he played for the Chargers, which I totally forgot about. And it's kind of interesting, too. We talked about it before we came on the air. He played for Michigan and coached to Michigan. He played for the San Diego at the time. The Chargers, now he's coaching him. So it's all not a total surprise. And with the issues that have gone on at Michigan this year, I guess like we talked about a little bit ago, with the Pete Carroll effect, if you will, maybe bolting before the incident play comes down on him. Who knows? Is he doing that? I guess we'll find out. Only time will tell, but we'll see.
I can hear the Ohio State fan in your voice, and I'm not going to point that out, but no, it's cool. I'm actually, as a football fan, it's exciting to see him go back to the NFL because of all the things he did do for San Francisco. As a Broncos fan, it absolutely sucks that it has to be with the Chargers, but maybe there'll still be some solace that the Chargers will continue to charger, because there is not a team that does less with more talent than the Los Angeles Chargers. But, I think it's good for him. He's a guy that I've always liked. He seems like a really good guy, at least in my opinion. I like a lot of the work that he does on and off the football field. So should be interesting. I just hope the Chargers continue to charger.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I hope the Chargers continue to charger. I'm really disappointed because I love Michigan. I loved what they were doing to Ohio in the end. But like you were talking about a little bit off the air, Tony, maybe there was time for some self-reporting, some things like that, just because there was some issues going on, and maybe it was time to get out while the time was good. Like you were saying, AJ, the Pete Carroll kind of effect. Let's get out while the time is good before we have to self-report, and let's get a coach in here maybe before we have to self-report as well.
Mm-hmm.
But interested to see who they get as that coach, and who's going to come in and still want to be a part of that Michigan brand that they've built up so well. Because right now they get the best of the best recruits, and is that going to have an effect, when it comes to CU, other schools that get those top end recruits? Really interesting to see there.
Yeah,
well,
it
should be really interesting to see because we talked, about the effect that it has on the school. Not only are they losing their coach, but as we saw with Alabama, now the transfer portal opens up for them.
We saw it with Washington too.
And Washington, yeah. So we have 3 of the top 4 teams that have lost their head coach now, and all of them are ripe for the picking. It just happened that our editor extraordinaire, Jack Carlo at Colorado Buffaloes Wire, was pointing out a few of the players that, CU could maybe go after on the Michigan roster. Because there happens to be, I think 3 Colorado kids that still have eligibility on that team. We got a linebacker in Hayden Moore. CU needs a linebacker. We got offensive lineman Andrew Gentry and Connor Jones. I'd love to see all of them playing at Boulder. But, it's one of those things. It absolutely sucks for these teams that are hit with a coaching change this far down the line after the transfer portal closes. What do you think, AJ?
Yeah, I'm going to look at it a little differently here. I think the head coach, I think the next coach at Michigan will be Sharon Moore. So they're going to hire from within house, and I don't think they're going to be hit as hard when it comes to transfers as Alabama and Washington, because those guys had probably never even heard of Washington, if they're not in Alabama type of thing, or vice versa. So I think they hire from within. I think because Moore coached a couple, he coached against Ohio State. He coached those last 3 games of the year. I think he's probably the leading man in the clubhouse for the job. And if that's the case and he gets it, I can't see many guys leaving because there's already that relationship with the team and with incoming recruits because they've already met and have established a plan. So if that's the case, I can't see them being hit as hard as other programs.
Well, I think that's a great call. Well, wasn't that, and I'm sorry, John, didn't mean to interrupt you there, but wasn't he the head coach that, during the time that Harbaugh was away for his team this year for buying a cheeseburger?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, those first 3 games, he had like 3 different coaches. Like his dad was one of them, I think. He just kind of made a little circus show of it. But those last 3 games, Sharon Moore was the head coach.
Okay.
But I think Jesse Minter is going with him to the NFL. I think is what I read. I could not 100% certain, but if that's the case, that could have an impact. But again, having somebody from inside the program, I don't think it'll hurt him too bad.
And to your point about players going to the NFL, they have a lot of guys in the Senior Bowl that are moving on. So there's guys that are at the cusp of being, hey, they're about to make the step to be the next guy up at Michigan. So why give up that opportunity at Michigan at the where you're going to be shining essentially to transfer to another team and have to learn their playbook, their philosophy, all those different things. And again, get up on the depth chart. So make that stand at Michigan. So it makes sense for some of those players to stay and get those reps.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Anything else we got going on besides that? You ready to move on to some Air Force basketball?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
The men needed this one, didn't they, AJ?
Boy, did they ever. We've covered a couple of men's games, a couple of losses, unfortunately, over the past few weeks. And there's a couple of players, and I'll get into it here in a little bit, but a couple of players who've been on the cusp of being really good. And one of those guys is Ritas Petritis. As the season has gone on, he has turned it up an entirely different notch. Against UNLV the other night, in the history of Air Force basketball, the second triple-double. Who was the first? Anybody know?
No
I'm
idea.
gonna pull out some crazy guess. No, I got nothing.
Ethan Taylor. Ethan Taylor recorded the first triple-double in program history 2 years ago, January 2022, with 14, 10, and 10, and a loss to Nevada. So in the history of Air Force basketball, however long they've been playing it, since the 50s, however long it's been,
only two times.
Only 2 times, and it's happened in the past 2 years.
Wow.
And Ethan Taylor's not shocking because he's a baller, averaging, 37 minutes a game, 17 points, something like that. Some ridiculous numbers. But he's getting a lot of support now, like I said, from Ritas Petritis, Bo Becker, Jeffrey Mills, a lot of guys who are starting to contribute around him. But that win on the road was big. And I only watched a little bit of it because it was a 9 o'clock tip-off our time. It was brutal. And we think our games are late. That's even later.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they moved to 8-10 overall in the year. Got their first conference win, which is a major deal. Like I said, we've been to live a couple of games. We've seen them play San Jose State and New Mexico. New Mexico's good. Like, that's just throw it out there. They're elite. They're 16, 17 wins at this point. The game before that, San Jose State was a buzzer beater in the corner. That happens. But Air Force was in it that entire time. Against UNLV, they were 31 of 56 from the field, 14 of 28 from three-point land, 14 of 17 from free throws, 25 assists, 3 steals, 8 turnovers, 18 total points off turnovers, which is huge. And a 31-point win, whatever it was. But again, the number that's a little glaring is fouls. Had 20 fouls. That's been kind of the glaring number of both men and women over the past couple of weeks, where those foul numbers. But again, you come out with a win. You come out with not only a win, but a dominating win and a dominating performance by Ritas Petritis. That could lead into some really good things as they're on the road this week. Where are they at? I wrote
Fresno.
Fresno State. That's what it is.
They play against Fresno on Saturday, it looks like.
Yep. So another great opportunity to get another conference win and ride the momentum of Tuesday night.
So what are your feelings for those games? Do you have high hopes? What do you think that has to be done for this to be competitive games where the Air Force Academy isn't coming from behind, essentially, where it feels like, again, they're playing from behind, they're in those fouling issues. What do they have to do to not be in those certain kind of issues that they have been in the past?
I think just consistency. You have a great opportunity, coming off a great win and a great performance all around. I think that's something, we talk about momentum. I think it's a real thing in sports. And this is getting a big conference win at a time where you needed a conference win. You were struggling and scrapping to find one because it's not going to get any easier, especially in this conference with the New Mexico's of the world, the Utah States of the world. Well, everybody.
We were talking about how there could be 5 teams in the out of this league that could go ahead and compete. And again, the problem with that is we were talking about they're going to beat up each other. They all are beating up each other. You look at Colorado State, I hate to jump the gun a little bit for what I'm going to talk about, but they're ranked 23rd and they got beat again by Nevada. So it's these teams, even though they're very good, they're just keep doing that to each other, and that's going to downgrade the league in some sense. And that's where Air Force has to get some of these games, even if they're against the lower tier teams, just to get that momentum going. Like you're saying, to get a few wins, string them together, get going with each other, get some groove with each other, know where they're going to be. That's what I feel with Air Force.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't look at their schedule going forward here. We talked about they're at Fresno State, home for Wyoming, at Boise State, host San Diego State, host Fresno State, at San Jose State, at UNLV. Then you got 25th ranked New Mexico in there. You've got an 18th ranked Utah State, and then you end the year hosting a 24th ranked Colorado State. So it's not going to get any easier, like we talked about. On the year, Ethan Taylor leads points per game, 16.9, just under 17 there. Assists per game is Jeffrey Mills at 3.1. Field goal percentage right now is a guy who I've talked about a little bit, Bo Becker, at 52.6 percentage on the year. Defensively, too, I think they've started to pick it up, too. Keelan Boylan, he's done a great job rebounding at 6 rebounds per game. Steals, Jeffrey Mills, 1.6, and blocks, Bo Becker as well with 1, averaging 1. The team's averaging 68 points per game. If you can be a little more consistent at the free throw line, a little more consistent from the 3-point line, there's going to be a couple more conference wins. And I'm not going to say it's going to do much towards the end of the year, but you upset it a New Mexico or a Utah State or a Colorado State. That's going to throw a wrench in the entire conference, and that's great because who doesn't love chaos in March?
No, I 100% agree, and I think these games are that little point where you can get that momentum, like you were talking about. So how about those women? How are they doing?
Tough one last night on the road at Wyoming. I sent you guys the picture. I'm not sure if any of our listeners watched the game, but for me, it seemed like that arena was dark.
That's unreal. Like, were they playing in a high school gym or something that had half their lights out? What was that?
Like it. And that wasn't the only game that did that last night. I believe it was another game on the East Coast they started the game with half the lights off in the arena, which it makes no sense to me. But yeah, Wyoming, Melanie Perry, she's continuing her dominance at 14 points last night. Alexis Cortez, 10. Jada McNabb, 10. And Madison Smith with 9. From the field, they were 23 of 54. 7 of 18 from three-point land, which is not, that's not going to be consistent going forward. The free throws, they were 10 of 12 on the night. What we talked about, too, it was a close game. I mean, back and forth really all night long. And again, it was just the consistency is not there for the girls. And they find consistency. They have shooters. They're 9-11 on the year. Unfortunately, 9th in the conference. 2-5 in the conference overall. So you kind of look at their schedule going forward here too. Host New Mexico this weekend, which we will be at. Then they host Colorado State on the 31st, which will be a really good game. Hopefully try to go to that as well. But it's not going to get much easier going down the conference. You have San Jose State, Nevada, Utah State, Fresno State, UNLV, and Boise State at the end of the year. Melanie Perry on the year is averaging 15 points per game. Taylor Britt, two assists. And Perry's also leading in field goal percentage at 37.5. Defensively, Jada McNabb, 6 rebounds a game. Madison Smith, 2 steals per game, and blocks per game is Jada McNabb with 0.6. So I don't know where that 0.6 comes into play. But nevertheless, it's got to be one of those things where consistency comes back. They need it, especially going forward. Because you look at the conference here, UNLV is 6-1 overall in the conference. Wyoming 6-1, New Mexico 5-2, Nevada 5-2, Boise State 4-3, San Diego State 4-4, Colorado State 3-4, Fresno State 3-4, Air Force 2-5, San Jose State 1-5, Utah State 0-8. So a lot of really good competition coming forward. And it's the same thing as the men's. You upset some of those teams, you throw a wrench in it all, and then March just becomes a disaster, which is fun for all of us.
Yeah, exactly. And want to get a real quick here for TLP Sports Club, saying sup to Tony. Thanks for all the
Harry
content.
B. What's up, man?
Who's Harry B? Let us in on the
He's the guy that runs TLP Sports Clubs. He's done some fantastic videos on YouTube. So if you guys haven't checked out his content, definitely go check it out. And yes, we're always going to take the advertisements from a fellow content creator. Yeah. And yes, Harry B., you are correct. Colorado Buffaloes Wires rocks. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you watching.
Much. And so we got to ask you, you've been on the court. You're upstairs getting all the information, watching the game from a whole. Your wife's down there taking video, getting some photos. What has your wife thought about the process, of taking some photos, being at the game, watching it? What has it been like for her?
Well, let's ask her.
Faith. Come on in, Faith.
Come on in.
All right, let's unplug the headphones here. There we go.
Hello. It's good to see you again. I haven't seen you since we were freezing our asses off down in Springs against Wyoming.
Oh, that was cold.
That was really cold.
I'm like, yeah, I don't want to think about it.
So what did you see? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, John. No, you got it.
So, Faith, what got you into photography, specifically sports photography?
Actually, it was with AJ. He really got me into sports in general. So when we got together, and when he was with his previous podcast, they needed someone on the ground while they were doing their thing, and I just volunteered. And then I don't know, it just really clicked, literally and metaphorically. And then from there, I don't know, I just really started to enjoy being on the ground and getting all those action shots, and just kind of took off. So.
I love getting the dad joke in there about photography. That was perfectly placed. I appreciate that. When are we going to see you up in Boulder? Are you going to make the trek up there to check out some of the basketball games? Or are you just sticking in the Springs?
Yeah, I think we're planning a trip up there.
That's awesome.
I've worked with CSU in the past, so we'll do stuff there, and then we'll do Boulder as well. I've done a couple things at CSU. I did women's basketball and volleyball there last year, so we're good there. I just need to get to CU and do some stuff. I've yet to do things in Boulder. Looking forward to making that trip though, and we'll make it happen.
That's awesome. Well, when you guys come up, we'll have to go to Wild Pastures because it's the best restaurant in Boulder.
Perfect. Perfect.
Big foodie here, so that sounds really good.
I have to ask you, what was your most memorable game or moment that you've done in photography?
Oh,
it doesn't have to be sports, actually. It can be anything, moment, anything in photography.
Oh, it's a sports one. It's actually
Is it Ohio State?
It was the Ohio State
Yeah.
game. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's right in the end zone, and I happened to get the shot where he was going in for a touchdown, and then he's getting closer and closer and closer, and I realized he's about to hit me in the head, so I actually had to drop my camera, take cover, and I literally felt the wind over my head as he just had to jump over me. The camera was safe. That's the important
So
part.
are you an Ohio State person as well? Did you go?
Kind of just through him, actually, because
Through
I actually
him?
grew up in Montana originally.
So are
So
you Montana State, Montana? Who's your team?
I actually attended both schools. So I actually ran
Okay.
cross country at University of Montana.
Wow.
But to finish my degree, when I transferred, I graduated from Montana State. So I felt I consider myself a Bobcats. It's a little hybrid.
So you get both teams, and both are very good. Actually, they both have do very well when it comes to playoff football and everything like that. Is there any event you want to cover most when it comes like in the next couple of years? When it comes to like that you can consider reasonable happening?
I think I just love doing football, honestly. I love I think it's just more space to play with. Basketball's been fun though too. I think it's so much more faster, so you have to really keep track of where the ball's going to be. You have to predict, but it's a lot harder. But I just love football because there's so many more angles to play with.
So you're very excited to start covering Air Force football and get into that.
Yes.
Yeah, she did one game. She did the Wyoming game last year.
Uh-huh.
It was her first Air Force game doing photography. Turned out really well. But she's done a conference championships in Detroit to Ford Field, which is really cool. I said Ohio State, all the MAC schools. I think our next year our goal will probably be a bowl game.
Ooh, yes. I think all of our goals is to get somehow get you to a bowl game.
Which bowl game would you want to do? Like, is there?
I've covered bowl games before. I've done the Quick Lanes Bowl up in Detroit, which was a lot of fun.
Okay.
That was actually Western Michigan and Nevada. And so
Nice.
right
Okay.
when the Dallas coach left, was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But I think a bowl game is probably gonna be the big one for us because not only it's more fun, it's a lot of fun, but the gifts for the media are really cool.
Okay. I love that. Okay, so we're gonna have a little fun with you here. Okay, we're gonna pull this in. This is shot by yours truly, a true amateur. I want to hear your grades from it, how it looks, and don't hold back. So this was taken during the CSU game. This was the tying 2-point conversion, and I just happened to be right there on the field. So give us your unbiased review of my amateur skills.
I think you have a knack for timing. That's like a shot you just, it's like right there. And you're like,
Isn't it crazy? Yeah.
I'm jealous. I'm like, that's like a shot that you achieve, strive for, and you have to predict where it's going to go. And it's, I'm very jealous.
That makes me feel good. I thought I was going to get ripped apart, so that makes me feel good. I love that. Thank you. Thank you for indulging me.
Shot on iPhone.
Shot was on iPhone
There
at
we
the time.
go.
Well, you're fortunate that no one got in your way either. That's what's so hard too, and something I've run into, especially with shooting basketball.
Oh yeah.
We're on the
you have to be like you have to do basketball almost. You're boxing people out for the shot, essentially.
I have to say, most of the photographers actually on the side are pretty respectful of each other's space.
Oh, really?
Actually, you have to watch out for the refs because they have to, have to be in the line, the shot,
Right.
at the position, but we can't really move and we're kind of stuck. So there have been a couple shots where I'm like, how was the shot? And there's the ref's hand.
Right where the ball should be.
And I'm just like,
oh man, that sucks. It's so funny that you mentioned that because when Trevor Woods get the game sealing interception, I went sprinting onto the field with my iPhone like this and got knocked out of my hands by a fan. So
That was this
There
year's
you go.
You were Caitlin Clark in that moment.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't flop though, so.
So that was this year's game, right? We were at Nebraska that weekend covering NIU at Nebraska.
Okay.
So we were watching that game in Grand Island, Nebraska, but we were at Lincoln. That was Matt Rule's first home game as Nebraska's head coach this year.
Oh, that's crazy.
That was cool. Yeah.
We have a fan here
Oh,
saying how much she loves your photos. Of course, we got to say hi to Mom.
They're probably
That's
watching
awesome.
the big screen too. So.
Shout out to my
I saw that. That's a
Watching
good
on the big
setup.
screen.
I love that.
That was a Christmas gift from myself, and my brother. So
There you go.
You guys did well. That was good.
but yeah, we've got a lot of cool pictures coming up. We have a couple hundred more to go through, and so
do more editing and
Yeah.
everything. So that's going to take more time. Those ones we kind of were more raw footage there, so we haven't really been able to do the full editing, but more to come.
And are we going to be able to see those on our new Instagram page?
Yes.
Yes, they are. We every night we come home, we go through, pick our 5 favorite or whatever. We'll post those, get some traction, and as we go through and edit it, and figure out which ones we want, don't want, and then we'll start just throwing them up there with all the Air Force hashtags and whatnot. And then we'll do the same thing with you guys when you go to games too, on the stories, just posting whatever. So we'll be able to get a lot of traction by the time football season comes around.
Beautiful. That's what I like to hear.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, anything else going on, Faith, that you would like to talk about, or are you good to go?
I'm so excited that he's been able to work with you guys, and he's
Yeah.
just said nothing but great things. And
Hopefully we haven't been snagging him for too much time.
no, I think it's the right amount of time.
Perfect. Okay.
Happy balance.
Well, you'll be
Happy
courtside this
balance.
weekend for the girls' game.
Yes, I'm
So,
excited.
a lot of fun.
Perfect. Well, with that being said, you guys ready to move on to some CSU basketball?
Let's do it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Do it. Thank you so much for coming on, Faith.
It was so nice to talk with you guys, and thank you.
Thank you. We'll hear more from you soon.
Definitely.
Oh, it's been rough for Cam the Ram. It has really been rough. That's all I can say. Yesterday for the men's team, when it came to playing Nevada, it really felt hard the entire game. They ended up losing that game. First of all, they got back into the top 25. They were ranked 23rd. Those were some good wins after taking 2 on the chin from losing at Utah, at Boise State. They came back, won against Air Force, won against UNLV, but then took that loss against Nevada. It was 77-64. For me, that knocks them out of the top 25. It really was a game where it never felt like it was in reach, for me at least. CSU came out really slow, it felt like to me. Even Nevada came out slow, but really what it came down to were field goal percentage. CSU could not get a bucket to drop, period. I mean, when you have a field goal percentage differing in about 13 points, it's going to make a huge difference, almost 14 points, really. 3-pointers, there was 40% shooting for Nevada, 26% almost difference, almost 25% for CSU. They were just not getting the buckets to fall. And that's huge when you have, Stevens, basically your only guy who's able to get the ball to get going. He's not getting it to go drop. It really was really difficult to watch from a CSU perspective. No one really was getting anything to go. It really was hard. Nevada, honestly, they weren't getting buckets to drop either, but they had enough going inside that it was just enough. But for me, it was a boring game also. I have to say that it was a terrible game to watch. It was on FS1. I was bored, man. It was one of those games also when you're talking about when it turned on, it was 8:30. It was a little bit late for me. I know the Colorado game was on. I kind of caught myself turning on the Colorado game a little bit more because they were winning. There was a little bit more going on. I was a little bit more interested in the Colorado game. So for me, it was a rough game. I was bored. Honestly, it was just one not to write home about.
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at you look at some of those things that have just been like staples for CSU through this year. when I was up there watching the CU-CSU game, they absolutely – what was that? Sorry, did I lose you there?
Yeah, did I lose both? I think I lost both of you there.
Oh, are you back? Okay.
I can hear you.
I can hear you. Cool. Yeah, I mean, Staples, they hit the 3 ball. You don't see them go 26% for a game very often. And you look at Nevada, they were able to punish them down low. They only had to take 10 threes all game, and they hit 4 of them. Nevada they were able to get side into the paint. They were able to just kind of methodically break them down. And like you said, it never really felt like CSU had a chance at the game. They held their last lead, if it looks right to me, at like the 9-minute mark of the first half. So they just kind of slowly, methodically built their lead and pulled away from them. And it's just not what we've become accustomed to see with CSU basketball. They hit those threes. They play good defense. They're able to weigh the other team down, and Nevada just got the best of them.
Yeah, it really was that kind of game, honestly. And it really just didn't feel to be a capable kind of game. The guys weren't performing at their norms, and you could feel it. You couldn't get plays off the bench really either. And then when it came to the women's, honestly, they had another kind of breakdown when it came to Nevada. They were able to, again, not score very much. I don't know if I'm having some audio issues. It feels like I am. But again, they were a team that were all driven through McKenna Hofschild again. She was on her game in terms of, she was 10 of 19, hitting 24 points, but everything was going through her. And, Nevada got out to a hot lead when you're up by 15 at some point. They just kept pulling away. And at some point it kept being that 20-point margin. And how do you make up a 20-point margin when it starts out that way so quickly? Again, at the first quarter, it was 19-8 Nevada winning. How do you make up that margin throughout the entire game when you're just in the second quarter? You're still, again, down. So there was no way of this team to really come back when you're, again, down throughout the entire game. And in the fourth quarter, McKenna Hofschild is just so tired. She had no opportunity in the fourth quarter to really come back. They lost this game 78-51. It really felt like they had no energy by the end of the game because, again, you're a one-woman team. How are you going to do that? It feels like this CSU team is running out of energy. They have no idea who to go to get this team going. Honestly, I have no idea what other options they can run through.
Well, it's the biggest thing that we talked about. John, you and I have had this conversation. Me and AJ had this conversation. Who's going to come along with McKenna? You see she's 10 of 19. The rest of the team is 9 of 37 shooting. Mm-hmm. You don't have a single other person that's over 6 points. So, you're scoring 51 points when your star is scoring 24. You just got to have someone. Where can we find that someone to get us some consistent production on this women's team, AJ?
You got to find it somewhere. You go to the stats. This is McKenna Hofschild leads everything. And we've talked about it with Air Force because they've had some dominant players as well. You've got to find that bench player. And you kind of look at, CSU's schedule going forward here. There's a couple trap games in there. You've got San Jose State. We're at Air Force here next week. But San Diego State, they're right above Colorado State. They're 4-4 in the conference. So they're really going to have to figure it out because if they don't, they can find themselves into some trouble really quickly here in the next couple of weeks with, because as we get closer to March, it's those trap games and it's lining up for that opportunity for CSU to fall into some of those traps.
Yeah, and they really got to start winning some of these games. Obviously Nevada's a pretty good team, but, you shouldn't be losing by, 20-plus points to that kind of team, especially if you're 12-5 on the season. So is that 12-5 looking like more of a mirage? Did you beat teams maybe you shouldn't have? What we need to figure out what's going on here, especially if you want to make a run at that postseason tournament. If you want to make some noise in the Mountain West, you got to start winning some of these games, John. And we hope to have you back here.
Thank you. Glad to be back. And it's one of those things where, again, I thought this team was going to be a solidified kind of team into the tournament. I'm starting to feel like their NIL is that kind of where, not NIL, NAT kind of thing, NIT, excuse me. And it's just, I'm going to name them all. It's one of those things. I don't have a strong belief in this team anymore. They need to find a second person to start making some of these points, to make a run, to have a strong number two besides just having, a little bit of everyone peppered in. I need someone to come in there day in, day out to be a strong number two, honestly. And then you can have the bench kind of fill in the rest. That's where I really feel with, honestly, a lot of this CSU basketball team with both sides. You need someone to be a little bit stronger, get something going on the inside. Again, you have some of these players. It just feels like a little bit too much is coming from Clifford for the inside for CSU, and then it's no one else has disappeared, kind of.
Yeah, especially in a conference where you're going to be limited on bids when it comes to the tournament.
They're going to be up each other. I mean, my idea, we were talking about 4 to 5 earlier. I'm starting to think it's even going to be less because they're going to beat up on each other even more. I'm starting to think 3 now. I mean, it's going to be one of those things. Are they going to, self-cannibalize?
It's going to be the same on both men's and women's side.
I agree, both sides.
You have that fact that they are playing in probably what is considered a mid-major, even though they haven't been playing like that to start the season. The men's side has been tremendous. We've been seeing some great basketball, but that still is that perception that the Mountain West is a mid-major. So you're going to have to fight that perception in order to make the field, especially if you don't make a strong run into those tournaments.
Absolutely.
And I don't think you can escape that idea, that concept, at least this year, especially.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. It's an unfortunate tag that we have to group teams like that. It's just kind of an unfortunate reality of the way that basketball, football, all these national, conferences and leagues that we play in are situated.
Right, and you have to get those teams in that, get their automatic bid that, we understand are not as good, but due to the way the system works, they get in. So that's how it works. I mean, I understand it.
And I come from covering a conference in the MAC where there's 3 schools who could clearly go to the tournament. You always have your Ohios, who they're always going to upset somebody they have. They knocked off Virginia, the defending national champions a couple of years back. Toledo's always in there, Akron. But again, being a mid-major, you're going to get that one bid and maybe an at-large, maybe, depending on how the other G5 schools do. So again, the Mountain West falls into that category as well.
Yeah. No, definitely. You guys ready to transition into some Colorado?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Well, normally my spot has been reserved for talking about the dominance that is the women's program. But I'm going to switch that up just a little bit because I need to talk to you CU fans out there. For all of you fans that were out there praising the world, trying to bring down Tad Boyle and say, it's time to move on after the 3-game losing streak that this team endured. Man, have they bounced back. They have won 4 straight and just are coming off a dominant road victory for their first Pac-12 victory on the road. And we're looking at this team. They're getting healthy. They have lost a lot of games this year from a lot of players, including our stud freshman, Cody Williams. He is back and playing better than ever. All of a sudden, you look at this team, they're 15-5. They got a pretty good layout to make a run at this thing. We're going to get the Arizona schools back at home, a place we're undefeated. Could we beat Washington State and Utah to finish out this road trip before going into that? Who knows? All I'm talking about, it's what I preached to you guys 2 weeks ago, the last time I was on the show. Just remember how bad Colorado basketball was before Tad Boyle graced us with his presence in Boulder. I know it sucks sometimes teams lose, but dang, they're starting to look like a really good team.
No more sad Boyle, no more bust of, Cody Williams is a bust already, and he can no longer be drafted in the, top, 10 even. No more of that?
Nope, no more of that. I'm done with it. And I get it. It's tough being a sports fan, especially when there's the most dreaded word in all of sports. There are expectations out there for you. But they're playing well.
But I remember we were, a while ago when we were kind of doing some radio stuff together, and we were talking before Prime, when Cody Williams was coming to CU, how we were talking about he was going to be a top 3 prospect, and all of a sudden how excited we were before he was even signed. And now we're talking about, man, he's just not it. He's just not it. Now I'm seeing him again, number 1 overall pick to the Bulls.
Yep.
How people switch so quickly. It is amazing.
It's the nature of sports. Like, I think writers are susceptible to it as much as fans are. I mean, you got to go where the winds are blowing.
Did you look at some of the people's Twitter tag, changing from Tad Boyle, whatever, to Sad Boyle? It's just sometimes it can be a little crazy. It's a little crazy to view it in, like, one day they're like loving him, and the next day pure hate.
Well, we went through it here in Denver with Michael Penix. Remember when he won the national semifinal? Everyone in Denver wanted him to be drafted. Oh my God! JJ. Can you imagine what Sean Payton's going to do with this guy?
Right.
He plays in the national championship, and some people are saying he'll go undrafted. I mean, make sense of it, AJ. What the heck's going on?
I can't make sense of it because my team drafted Johnny Manziel.
There you go.
There you go.
And 25 guys since then, exactly. But the thing it's interesting about Colorado.
Let me just ask you real quick. Do you have a Couch jersey somewhere in the?
I do have a Tim Couch jersey back home. Yeah.
There you go. At least you have it. At least you do.
I'll go even further. Or
you have a Bernie Kosar?
No, I don't. Okay. I mean, I have a Chris Spielman Browns jersey.
Okay.
Ooh, I like that.
He didn't make it out of the Hall of Fame game because he broke his neck, and that was the end of it.
Oh man.
Yeah, I have that jersey.
Yeah.
But I don't buy jerseys anymore because they don't stick around long enough to worth anything.
Yeah.
The best jersey I have is a Cleveland Indians Ricky Vaughn jersey.
I love that. That is fantastic.
Yes, Ricky Vaughn.
I almost bought. It's so funny that we'll take a little detour here, fans. I almost bought. They had, I think it was at like Fans or something like that. They had the Bobby Boucher from Southern Alabama or whatever the heck that was. SCLSU Mud Dogs. There we go. That's what it is.
Oh yeah, I've got the Vaughn jersey because he'll never leave. The Wild Thing will live forever in Cleveland, even though that movie was filmed in Milwaukee.
Yeah, that's funny.
Of all things. But yeah, going back to Colorado here real quick. They kind of
there's something on something in Cleveland too.
What's that?
You got me thinking on something Cleveland too about the Kelsey brothers, but I'll talk about it later.
We'll talk about it later. And so Colorado, it's interesting because you kind of look at their overall numbers, and they're kind of similar to CSU women. For example, Hoffschild leads everything. The CU, it's Simpson. He leads in points per game, assists, field goal percentage. Does he have a guy behind him who's going to help make that push? Because we talked about it a couple weeks ago, Tony. This road trip they have is not going to be easy. And so they're going to need somebody to, what's Simpson's averaging 19 points a game. Somebody's going to have to put up 10 or 12 behind them consistently before they come back home in that home stretch.
Yep.
So there's going to be a lot. Again, it's all of our schools are in the same boat. They're all, even though we're in two different conferences, we're all going to have to make a push here to the end of the year, and it's not going to be easy for anybody.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point to put out. And I think the biggest difference that we're seeing, totally agree when it comes, but where we're seeing the difference is that those guys are starting to come along with KJ. Of course, he wasn't even the leading scorer last night. He wasn't even the second leading scorer last night. So that's what's really nice about CU when everyone's healthy. And I think they've made a huge pickup in getting Eddie Lampkin Jr. That guy has just been a revelation with not only being able to control the paint, but man, he's throwing some behind the back like Jokic passes and everything like that to some of these other guys. I'm seeing this team start to come together. And, it sucked that Cody Williams had to go through that wrist injury and be away from the team for a few games. But, man, they're starting to hit their stride. Every one of their starters was in double digits last night. And you get a guy like Javon Hadley. I mean, I've been singing the praises of this kid for the last 2 years. I mean, he does all the little things for you. Last night, he's your leading scorer. Scores 24 points. And, I mean, he's a 6'6" guy that's backing people down. Oh, the autograph Brady Quinn. That's a good jersey.
I do have that one too.
I've always liked Brady Quinn.
Oh, my dad texted me that and then posted that.
I mean, that's what dads are for. I don't that's the way they do it, man.
That jersey is behind a dresser in my bedroom. It hasn't moved in probably 10 years.
That's awesome.
I mean, he became a Bronco now. I mean, that's where he left.
He was a Bronco.
He was a Bronco, yes. And it's funny because, I grew up 20 minutes south of Notre Dame. So, yeah.
Wow, that's great. That's awesome.
So, funny story about that real quick. This had to have been 7 or so, Ohio State was playing Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl. And so that was like Christmas week, right? Well, my grandmother passed away. We're driving back to Ohio. We're on the toll road, and Brady Quinn's an Ohio guy. So he's leaving Notre Dame or leaving South Bend, heading east, and we're obviously on the same toll road. We look over to our right, and there's Brady Quinn in the toll booth next to us.
That's awesome.
We're mourning and stuff like that. And all of a sudden we look over, we have Ohio State stuff on. We're hanging it in the window, showing it to him and stuff like that. He looks at us, laughs. He does not get off his cell phone from South Bend to Toledo because he knows we're behind him and we're going to talk trash the entire time.
Of course. Oh, that's great.
His cell phone the entire trip.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so great. Just flipping things over to the women's side. I mean, to say what the Buffs did was impressive is, I think, an understatement. We talked about how brutal this 4-game stretch was going to be at home. You played 3 top 10 teams in the span of 4 games. And they went 3-1 and legitimately had a chance to go 4-0. They had control of that UCLA game in the first half. And, man, they just could not buy a bucket in the second half. I'm not one to usually rely on the refs screwed us, and I'm not going to say that, but, man, they had to endure a bad whistle that night. And there was a bad whistle during that game for both teams. And it affected CU. We had a bunch of our players playing in foul trouble. But beyond that, I mean, to beat number 8 Stanford and number 6 USC at home, I mean, John, we've been talking about it. This team is a national title contender. And even the likes of ESPN are starting to recognize that. Just recently, in their latest bracketology, they named CU number 1 seed. So, yes, the Pac-12 is.
Didn't they name 3 Pac-12 teams?
I think they did. I think they did. I think you're right. But just even with how brutal the Pac-12 is, they recognize how good this team is and how good they can be if they continue to play this way.
No, I agree. And I think they recognize, like I was saying, the entire Pac-12, how deep it is. And again, like you were saying, how going through the gauntlet, they understand that no team can survive going through this entire conference going perfect 100% of the time. I think they understand that, if this was a different conference, maybe they'd think otherwise, but they understand this is a tough game. You can't expect it to win UCLA, USC, and then keep going on and on and on. So I think they did give them some benefit, especially when it's going to come to the rankings.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it doesn't let up because this conference has some depth too, because, our next game, we're going to be in Corvallis to play. Sorry, I had to pull out the city real quick, but we're going to be in Corvallis to play Oregon State tomorrow. And they're the number 25 team in the country. So not only are they top heavy, but they have a good middle bracket too, because you have the likes of Utah. I mean, Utah was the projected winner of the conference, and they're sitting at like 5th or 6th in the conference right now. This conference is great, and the Buffs are great, and it's awesome to watch.
No, definitely, and I have to give it to you. You're the first person on them, so all credit to you. Let's move on real quickly as we're kind of pushed for time for football. Let's do some CSU real quick, if you guys don't mind. Okay, real quick with CSU. First, we got Clayton in here.
Hey, Clayton.
Hey, Clayton. Also reminding everyone, smash that like button. It really does help. Even when we're done with here, leave a comment. Really helps us. We'll respond to it. Also, hit up our Twitters. Just gives us a help as well. And when it comes to CSU, not much happened. Obviously, they're still attacking guys when it comes to the future class, going after these guys in terms of making the phone calls, going to their houses. They're really doing a good job there. They did make a signing of 5'10", 185-pound wide receiver named Tommy Mayer. He is essentially going to be a wide receiver 2025 class, I believe. It's going to do real big things in this Fort Raid offense, I believe. They're going hard on these receivers, as you can tell. It's just one of those things where you need to keep getting receivers. It's going to be big for BFN. Again, it's going to be someone you develop. I saw some people questioning, he's a small guy. Is he going to be able to hold up? Well, he's he's going to be able to hold up because he's very shifty. He has the speed, and he just needs to hold up long enough, in order to get the ball and get, again, some good yak and get the ball out of bounds. So I think for the Rams, they're doing their due diligence, again, going after guys in terms of inside for the defensive line as well. Bill Best is really attacking offensive linemen that maybe he's he is able to recruit, but you wouldn't think CSU is able to recruit. So what I mean that is USC kind of caliber guys that are taking on those visits, taking on those official visits, taking the calls. So really happy again with Bill Best, what he's been able to do. And that's really, really it right now for Colorado State. So be happy with what they got coming in the pipeline. But other than that, not too much is going on.
Going back to Tommy then for just a second, I mean, to me, he kind of looks like the perfect slot machine. Is that
exactly
kind of how he's? Yeah,
that's how I view him. Perfect slot machine. It's kind of what they need going forward. They have their outside receivers. They need an inside guy.
Okay, and just for those of you that weren't catching up on the lingo, I know we like to throw around our football lingo, but essentially, he looks like a guy that could work out of the slot. That means the inside receiver.
Really quick.
Probably he's going to be a guy. Yeah, he's going to be a guy that's going to be looked at on third down, pick up the first down, make those critical catches over the middle. Kind of looks like the perfect body style of that for me. And according to his highlights, he could be a perfect player in that kind of offense. Mm-hmm. Boys, I am going to have to jump off. I got to go do my dad duties. I got to stick kiddo. But have a great week, guys. It's fun catching up with you.
Yep.
Talk to you later, boys.
Be well. Okay. Otherwise, when it came to CU football, what we were going to basically do is talk about how there was a big nothing burger with people talking about their violations. Mm-hmm. Look, they were small violations, nothing really to talk about. You comfortable with that, saying that was CU and their football?
Pretty much. I mean, these are things that happen with every program across the country, so it's nothing like
I mean, what were we talking about? Like, one of them was a picture taken at the wrong time. One was having someone's name on the wrong thing next to Deion Sanders. I mean, something really like ticky-tacky things that not even close to Michigan. No one cares. No one's worried. We're all good.
Yeah. If you weren't a Colorado fan or lived in the state of Colorado, you'd have no idea these were a thing.
Yeah, really. It's one of those things. Makes no sense. Yep. Want to talk real quick some Air Force football, just one of their signings that's coming up on February 7th. A player, do you want to talk about him or do you want me to get it?
Yeah, Cameron Matthews, he's a nose tackle, 6 foot 295 out of Trinity Christian High School. He'll be signing here in a couple days, which will be a lot of fun to see. Overall for the academy, though, not a whole lot's going on. Same thing. It's kind of that awkward period throughout the year where the portal's slowly going, but not as heavy as it was when it first opened. Air Force is doing a lot of home visits right now, a lot of keeping in contact with recruits, commits, things like that. I tweeted out the other day, I saw a picture of Coach Calhoun, and I just had tweeted out saying, Coach Calhoun never sleeps. And I believe it was his daughter replied, can confirm, always going. And so it's great to see Coach on the road right now, trying to find that next talent, that next star to come to Air Force. And from what it looks like, a lot of the guys he's been in communication with, not only him, but the other coaches on the staff, the guys they've been talking to, a lot of great quality talent potentially heading to Colorado Springs here in the next year or so. So really excited to see that, really excited to see what guys commit on and off throughout the rest of the up really until, fall camp probably.
I mean, up until the point of signing day, I mean, everything's open with these guys.
So which is what, February, end of February?
Yeah, I believe so. Really, again, I've seen guys, like Parker Turner, where his brother, he went to Navy. He decided on going to Navy. I really thought he was going to be an Air Force kid, but his brother ended up going to Navy. So at the last second, he ended up switching. So it really is up to the last second with some of these guys. So really hope to get these guys in here, and you want to keep that communication going. So I'm very happy with what the Air Force is doing, what CSU is doing, and CU. They're doing what they're doing in terms of the portal, and I hope them to do a little bit more recruiting, at least from my standpoint.
Right.
Anything you want to touch on in terms of Air Force and their hockey program? I know they had a milestone.
We can talk about it a little bit here. 13, 12-1 on the year, 10-5 in the conference. The two big wins here off of Army. Swept Army last week.
And that's always big. I mean, anytime Air
Mhm.
Force can beat Army, that just means something. I don't care what sport. I don't care if it's, I mean, wrestling, obviously that's much more competitive when you're talking, the academies, but I don't care what sport. Anytime Air Force can beat Army or Navy, it means something to you guys and us.
Absolutely. And swept them last week too. 8-1, I believe, on Friday night. And then
That's a nice sweep. That's a nice
absolutely. Then 8-6 on Saturday. But the big news is coming off of that series is Coach Frank Sarator gets his 500th win of the year, or 500th win in his career, rather.
Yes.
So that's obviously a great milestone. Having a couple milestones in Air Force athletics here the past couple of days with a triple-double and hitting 500 wins in a career. So congratulations, Coach.
Yes.
They have a home game Saturday night, so I might hit that up.
Nice.
They're rocking the Doolittle Raiders jerseys, the white on silvers. And
Awesome.
so those look really nice on the ice. So what's cool about if you haven't been to the
And I
field
think
house,
they're doing a free giveaway. Sorry to
they're doing a giveaway a replica jersey. So it's kind of why I want to go get one of those.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's really cool if you haven't been to the field house before. The hockey rink and the basketball arena are in the same building. They're just separated by one hallway and concession stand.
Wow.
So you walk in the front door to the right is the hockey rink. All the seats over there, the benches, and you go to the left, it's the basketball arena. And then right next to the basketball arena front main gate is the trophy case for the Commanders and Chiefs trophy, which obviously is empty right now, which Army has.
I should have seen it when I had the chance. Oh, wow.
I know.
Yeah, that was my mistake. Yes.
But that's a really cool arena. There's a team shop in there, great concessions and stuff like that. If you ever get a chance to go check that arena out, it's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's a very good place. It's a great place to take the family if you have the chance and go pack it.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Anything else though on your mind? If not, I think we can get out of here and end our Thursday.
Yeah, like I said early on in the show, we'll be live at the Clune Arena on Saturday afternoon for the girls' game against New Mexico. That should be a lot of fun. I think it's like 1 o'clock tip-off or so. I'm not sure what station it's on. It's either on CBS Sports or the Mountain West app. We'll be there live coverage, mostly from the SSN Twitter account, but we'll also be retweeting everything on the podcast account as well. So
Awesome.
Faith to be courtside, taking pictures again, doing live stories on Instagram, whatever we can, and we'll be posting. So that should be a lot of fun, and we'll be our first girls' game of the year. So really excited about that.
Evening, Richie. Excuse me. We're getting out of here. So Thank you for joining us, but we're getting out of here. Thank you so much, everyone. Hope you had a great one, and take care.
Yep.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking up the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle. Wait a minute, work hard for the car, so that's why it's all tinted.